everyone, welcome. I'm really excited to do this reading. Um, I got a microphone and I can't figure out how to use it, so we'll just wait and when the new laptop gets here, maybe this will work, but I'm kind of gonna I want to upgrade a little bit. I don't know why I'm doing it before I go to the UK, but I thought whatever. I have to do it and sometime and maybe in familiar surroundings, it will be easier to get past my fear of tech stuff. Um, so as I kind of tuned in to President Carter, Jimmy Carter, I started to get a visual. First of all, I could hear his accent, and if you, that is Southern accent, I could hear his accent in his responses. And if you've seen me do this before, I've talked about how I get kind of a mixture of things. I get visuals, pictures, sometimes in like movie or TV clips, words, phrases, a lot of feelings, emotions and feelings. And I sort of put it all together in an attempt to let you know what they're thinking or feeling or what's going on. Um, what I've found is when I do this, I do hear a lot more. So I can hear like specific phrases, and then it will kind of be kind of a sometimes it'll come in kind of a download. It'll be kind of a lot of things at once. Um, but what was interesting is I was tuning in, I started to get a visual of him, and he was in like a white suit. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm like, maybe it's his like Christian, because I know he was Christian, had like a Christian background, strong Christian beliefs. So I'm like, maybe it has something to do with that. And as I looked at him more and got a clearer and clearer picture, I realized it was a uniform. And it was interesting because I thought that's weird because I didn't know that he served in the military. That seems so like counter to him because seemed like such a gentle, so I was like, that's weird. And so my curiosity got the better of me. Usually I don't look up, anything before or I'll go on what I already know about them, but I don't really look things up unless it's something like I was somebody said they didn't want to talk about their family. And I think that I looked up their family to see, well, why would he say that? But it was like, or maybe it was a woman. I don't know. But I looked it up and a lot of them were still alive. So I thought, oh, it's probably just because they're still here and they don't want to go into that, whatever. Um, but I found this picture and I wanted to show it to you because I don't know, I don't know, this is just says early days, but I wanted to give you this visual because this is what he looks like in my visions. You can kind of get an idea of like how old he is, right? And I thought that's probably another reason why he picked that suit was to kind of show this is the age that I've picked. This was the age era that I picked for myself. Um, and how he's choosing to come forward. But I just thought it was very interesting, and I wanted to share that to be very transparent about what I know and don't know. But so Jimmy Carter was president when I was little. I remember him being president because I was about I think let's see 79. Uh, I was like, it was the bicentennial I remember, and it was around. So I was like ages like 6, 7, 8, or 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. And I remember Amy, his daughter, because she was a little bit older than me, but she was like the first daughter. And I remember um, Rosalind, of course, and I knew about his philanthropic work, his Habitat for Humanity. I knew about that, and I knew about that he ran against Reagan, and I knew that um, what else did I know? Well, he's a Democrat. I know that. But there were certain things I remember about his presidency. I remember the whole in school we had to do, they were trying to switch over to the metric system. So I don't know if that was a him thing or, that was something, but that was during that time. And they were also doing a lot about energy conservation and things like that. So I remember a lot of that kind of thing in school. And as trying to, and the oil stuff, like the gas lines and all that stuff. I remember all that. Um, so those are the things I remember. So, and of course, yeah, you'd hear, how wonderful he was, what a nice man he was. Really wanted to see peace in the Middle East. I know that was a passion of his, and I know what else. Anyway, but those are the basic things that I know about him. I really don't know a whole lot. I know his brother Billy. I remember that. They were peanut farmers. I remember that. Um, but I don't know a whole lot of like personal things. And even some of the questions that people asked, I was like, oh, that's weird. I've never heard that before or whatever. So it should be interesting. And you know, again, why would he talk to us, right? We're just the little people. We're just, average people. Why would he talk to us? But th- s- we're all one, right? We're all connected. And spirit, there's a couple things about spirit when they get to the other side. One is that they want to help us. They always want to help. And when they come here, they hope to help. It's always a hope that most, if not all, spirits have, is that they want to help humanity, right? They want to help while they're here. So still wants to help us, even though he's on the other side. And the other thing is that uh, they don't hide from us. You know, they're not like hiding and keeping secrets from us. It's just that they're at a different frequency. That's all. And if we can tune into that or heighten our sensitivities with like our third eye and detecting energy and things like that, um, we can we can communicate. We can detect them. We know that they're there. But they're not hiding from us. They want it, so they want to help us, and they're not hiding. They want that for us. And so that's why. And we're many of us, not all of us, but many of us are Americans, and he was an American president, so of course he wants to help and answer our questions. And if there is something he doesn't want, which he's already said, which he said earlier, that if there's something he doesn't want to respond to, he just won't respond. But it's not a negative to ask. It's just that he may feel like he shouldn't respond, or that he like his response might be kind of sparse, or not a whole lot of information. But so that's fine. And we've come across that before. So let's dig into the questions. I'm very curious about this. And there he is. So he's there. And I feel like, which is interesting because most people sit down. I feel like he's standing, whatever reason. That I just like to tell you what I'm getting and what I'm seeing. And if it and I also love to get your opinions, and also the knowledge that you guys have. You always have like way more knowledge than I do. It seems like, at least for the guests so far. So, but he's standing. He's got his hands kind of in front of him, and he's standing. Um, so the first question is from Anne, and Anne asks, who does he think would be the best presidential candidate for 2028? He's kind of shaking his head. He's like, "Oh, to me, it just seems like, oh, what a question, what a question to start out with." Um, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go, and I'm just scribbling. If you don't know what I'm doing, I'm just doing that. I'm just kind of scribbling on paper to get kind of in a meditative state so I can hear clearly. So he's saying, I'm not going to comment on like specific individuals, but we hope, we're hoping for the United States' sake that they choose an honest broker is how he's saying is an honest broker. And someone who will be honest and tell the truth about all of the things that America needs to get done. And he's saying also won't shy away from America's history. Be very upfront about this is where we've come from, this is where we are. They need to have someone, they need to have, and he's speaking of like the American people, they need to have someone who is a friend to the world, or at least tries to be, someone who is friendly to the world, and someone who is wanting to make other leaders into their friend so that they can work together and work together for common cause. This is going to be very important. And I feel like he's maybe talking about global climate, like climate change and things like that. And he's even saying, like the finances, financial things, that this is going to be, there needs to be a way of looking at this that's very worldwide, that benefits everyone and not just, and he's saying, America has a tendency to really just look out for itself. And we really can't have that attitude anymore. There needs to be like a worldwide kind of sharing of knowledge and resources and science, and that it benefits everyone. Um, and that this will become more and more important. That we don't fear each other, that we really see each other as friends. It's got to start with that idea that someone's not trying to stab me in the back, but that's trying to help, trying to assist. We need to get past this. He's saying this um, what is it? Like a suspicious eye on my neighbors. Okay, and he's stopping there. Okay. So it sounds like somebody who's honest, but also aware that we have a worldwide system when it comes to economics and it comes to climate change, and we need to start working together and trusting each other and sharing. That was a big thing, sharing knowledge and information and sharing with each other, that everybody benefits when we do that. Okay, so Evelyn asks, how can each of us benefit spiritually from the hard time period we're in now? So he's saying blaming each other, it doesn't lead to solutions. So trying to understand one another, forgive each other of their, oh, he's saying trespasses, which is to me a very kind of Christian-y or, Bible-y kind of thing. But he's saying forgiving each other for their like trespasses against us. Um, People, realizing that people can only do the best they know how, basically. And he's saying this is a very um, unusual and strange period for the United States that we've been going through. And that we need to understand that there have been a lot of efforts to keep people in the dark, keep people uh, angry and in the dark. And so he's saying that there needs to be some understanding that this has been a concerted effort, and that it's not the people that fell for this, or fell in he's almost like stumbling through the darkness. It's not those people. It's the people that are kind of running the show. Those are the people that we need to kind of push aside and not allow them to be doing what they're doing anymore because they're throwing he's yeah, so they're throwing like fuel on the fire, and we need to get them out of the way or move them along so that they can't do this anymore because it's not good for us. Not good for anybody. It's not good for anybody. Um, but he's saying if we can start to see that and kind of uh, internalize it and realize, oh, they're not my enemy. These people are making me think they're my enemy, and they're making them think I'm their enemy. This like it is like conspiratorial. And he's not saying that word, but that is what it feels like to me. It's like it's a planned thing, and this is a plan, and we're all falling for it in some way, shape, or form, and that we need to like take the blinders off and see this is what's been done to us, around us, you know, and that we need to push that aside. It's like push that aside to see the light, and then find a way to forgive each other, forget or for us to forgive them, but to get on steady ground again or common ground again. So it sounds like being in a state of mind where we're able to see straight and kind of forgive and also work to change the upper echelons or the people that are giving us information and things like that. Work together to do this. Um, and he's saying remain vigilant. Um, and what I feel is what he's talking about is using that gift of discernment to know who's lying to us, who's not telling the truth, who is has our best interest, um, to use to work on using that gift of discernment. Okay, I'm going to go into the next question. Ruth asks, "How does he see religion now?" And she asks him, "Do you see its importance differently?" So he's saying that the things that he like the things I bought into on earth, I still buy into. And he's saying, love, kindness, generosity of spirit, um, service to humanity, gratitude and gratefulness for all that for all that God has given us. These are truths. There's truth in all of this. The words are maybe were, like Christian, even him saying God just then, right? So he's saying that the words may have been like kind of dogmatic, but that the the ideas behind them are still what he are still his uh are now his knowings, basically. Beliefs here and knowings there. So the idea of love and caring for each other and that kind of thing. Um, he's saying one with God and each other. And he's saying he was always truly inspired um, by the beauty and the miracles that were always spoken about. It was he always felt that there was that his religion made basically what I'm getting is that was kind of a download, but he's getting to the fact that it always made him want to be a better man and be a better human being. and these stories of miracles and healings and these amazing stories from about Jesus and about, the disciples and about all of the things in the Bible and that and about like non-judgment and bringing everyone into the fold and that kind of thing, that those things really inspired him to be a better human being. And so he's saying that it was very, but he's saying, of course, of course, of course, the stories were just were illustration stories, or stories to illustrate a point or to illustrate an idea. He said he took it a little more literally when he was here, but he's saying there he can see that it's very much uh, lessons, just lessons or ideas that being brought in by specific stories. I think what he's getting to at too is that, he does see things differently now, for sure, but that religion was a real positive for him while he was here. He can see the limitations of it and how it can limit you in some ways, but he's saying that it was always a not a crutch. It was always a like something that he could lean on in difficult times, and but he's saying I always came back to the same teachings, which he's already talked about: love, gratitude, kindness, etc. Um, so in that those principles that he tried to live by here, he knows now that is the way, right? Okay. Because he's saying you do question when you're here, is that right? Because, I'm falling behind, or I'm not getting what I want, or whatever. And it's like, no, those things are always the way. Love is the way. Kindness is the way. Generosity of spirit is the way. Forgiving is the way. Gratitude is the way. Okay. Um, Andrea asks, how did you stay positive and view humanity in general after you left the presidency? So he says, I needed to to get involved in politics and do my best in politics to know that I wasn't right for politics. And he said it is a dirty game. It's a very dirty game. And as he saw the end of his presidency and all that happened during that time, he realized he was not cut out for this dirty game. It's funny. But he's saying it really did give him a platform to do things he had always wanted to do. One was about the Middle East, kind of trying to broker peace and get people together, that it gave him the opportunity to actually do some of the things he just thought that he felt were really important, and that it's like I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to see, can I do this, or is this possible? And so he's saying that really helped me to know I tried this. I did my best. I got into the position where I tried to do this and do my best and get others to see this. And so I feel like I did what I really wanted to do. So I think, because I was just going back to the question, how she says, how did you stay positive and view humanity? And so it sounds like being in that position of power, he actually got to try and do some of the things he thought would be best for humanity. And so in that, he felt like I did try. I did do my best. I did what I thought I should do. I was in that position. I did what I thought I should do. And he's saying you really there is that he wishes that people in positions of power could lead humanity by the hand, kind of show them the way, because we're all different and grow up in different ways in different households and different religions and different that we can really get lost and separated. And I think what he's talking about is a leader that can really bring everybody together and show common ground and common cause and how successful we can be as a people, as humanity, if we all contribute and work together and have common cause and can see even through all of our different experiences we have certain things that we all can get on board with. And he's saying humanity often loses its way and that it's part of the growth process. It's part of, he's saying from that side, you can see how it's part of the process. It's part of the process to lose your way sometimes, to get completely off course sometimes. It's part of the growth process. And so he can see that and sees that and he said to a degree, he knew that here. Like people just, they need to learn and they need to grow and they need to whatever. But he's saying there is like it really is part of the process. So, all right. Okay, the next question I have is um Linda, who met you when you crossed over? Hold my paper. It's so funny. I can hear his accent. And he said, of course, Rosalind had to be the first one. Right up front. But he's saying he was so surprised at how many people were there. And he's saying a lot of people that had to do with um, people that, kind of through his programs and um, through the things that he did through like charity work and things like that that those people were there. So he said it was a whole crowd. It was a whole crowd of people, a lot of family, relatives. And he said Jesus was there. That was important to me. And that was understood what that would mean to have Jesus there as a witness to my arrival, is how he's putting it. He did not. Oh, that's interesting. He did not have a life review. He's saying he knows that that is a very, very common, and many, many people have a life review, but he did not have one. He had he's saying like a sit down talk about his life and and all that he learned and all that he learned and understood differently as his life progressed. And he's saying everybody will be very proud of their ability to go through this process and come home. It really is a feat. Um, of course, there are people. that might go off the track they had set for themselves. And he's saying very off track sometimes, but that it's still an amazing uh, ambition, an amazing uh, uh, an amazing he's saying successful something, amazing success to go through this process and then return home and and the type of growth is like it's unto itself. It's only can be done through the earth plane. So you'll be so pleased with yourself that you did it, you made it, and then you made it home. Um, and he's saying no matter how it went. And he's saying don't beat yourselves up. Don't beat yourselves up about mistakes or errors or things you could have done better or differently. Don't do that because it will it will just he's kind of like saying sour your view towards life. So don't do that. Know that it's all of this, everything we go through is part of the experience. And so embrace what you learn and move on and just do your best. Okay, I think I answered that question. Can you speak on your UFO sightings? That's from Gail. Gail wants to know, he had a UFO sighting? That's so weird. Okay. All right. I don't know anything about this. He's saying, oh, yes, this was a transformative experience. Uh, I could never deny that there was something out there that knew about us, and now I knew about them. We knew about them. Um, And he's saying he's surprised that more didn't come out really in his lifetime, but there'll be information coming out. Um, and he's saying these are our brothers and sisters. These are our brothers and sisters. Okay, so this is interesting. So he just gave kind of a download of like the stuff you see in movies and the stuff the stuff, the science fictiony stuff, the ghosty stuff, he's like, there really is truth in it. Maybe not perfectly, but there's kernels of truth in it because it's all coming from the same place. We all know this stuff. We all know these stories. And he's saying the brain can distort things. And he's using the like all ghosts are scary, that kind of thing that our brain can distort because our brain has the the mask of fear is what he's saying, the mask of fear, so that it has that, and so things can get distorted through that. But the things that think of all the different movies and the things that you've seen, they all have these kernels of truth because we know the story. We know all this stuff. We just forget. But it seeps in, it seeps through. And he's saying artists and people like that, scientists get get the information and because they're very in tune, they're in tune with the universe and in tune with their imagination and their ability to take in get inspired and get ideas, and that's everything like that comes from spirit. So it comes in and they get it and they make a movie or they do art or they write a book, or so he's saying all of these things have kernels of truth. And UFOs and aliens and all this stuff is no different than that. Um, but he's saying the difference is that, and he's saying this is important. It's all good. It's not negative. So he's saying, because he's saying even the you know, good and bad, positive, negative, that's an earthly thing. There just is what is on the other side. So it just is, so he's saying it's not that, and that everything comes out of the vibration of love. And so, but it just takes on different forms and takes on different, I don't want to get too far into this because I don't know anything about this, but it takes on different forms and that can look very different than love as we think of it or know it. But he's saying all of this is out of love and it's all good. It's all okay. Take that as you will. I know there's going to be people who say, no, there's evil, blah, 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 but that's what he's saying. Okay. Um, and Craig asks, he says, we miss you terribly. So Craig says, we miss you terribly. How did you recognize Rosalind as the one so early in life? So he's saying a shared sense of values and purpose was very important in their kind of the foundation of their um, like connection. And he said she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. um, he's he's saying I wasn't so beautiful, but she was beautiful, and I recognized her. We all recognize, we all have varying degrees of recognizing each other, friends, fam friends, uh, loved ones, and he's saying even pets. We recognize each other as, oh, there you are, and he's saying that's exactly how it was for him and her. It was, oh, there you are. Okay, Craig. So I'm going to make this one. The last question, it's a question by Barbara, and she asks, have you reconnected with the poet Maddie Stepanek? So he's saying yes, and he's saying her work had touched me deeply, and her spirit touched him deeply. Um, and he's saying he's always been uh, a I don't know what this is, like a deep fan or a deep appreciator of the written word. And he's saying the spoken word too, but the written word. And he's saying whether it was in scripture or poetry or in books, that it's always been something that he really has um, was always very appreciative of. Um, so yes. Okay, I'm going to thank him for everyone, and I'm going to let him go. And um, I wanted to thank everybody for allowing me to do this way and I know it's kind of odd because it's recorded, but I wanted to stay on track and do this. And I always, just like everything in life, I think it always just works out the way it's supposed to. Don't fight it. Don't, uh, it just is what it is. And I just think, just go with the flow. And so for whatever reason, it worked out this way. Um, but I hope that this has been uh, informative, interesting, inspiring, all of that stuff. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.